Ready to roll, brother.
Okay, I love it, man. Hey, it's wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you so
Same
much for
here.
taking a minute out today.
Same here. Thank you, man.
You bet, man. So let's begin our journey into your life as to all of the wonderful things that you're doing by beginning with COVID. 5 years ago, it was raging. So many things were changing. How did you get through that time period, and how did it influence and change the way that you do things now?
Right, that was a wild time, probably considered one of the worst times in our country's history. And I think in my personal life, lost a lot of people who were really close to me during that time. So that was a struggle. And then I think once you take away the component of cushy, stable job, a lot of folks plunge into despair because their purpose was wrapped up in what they did in a cubicle. So to me, I was kind of in that space, even though I've been a coach and a mentor for people dealing with purpose and life skills and that kind of stuff for a while, but never really coached myself as much. So during that year, I was hit as hard as everybody else was. I was impacted the same ways everybody else was because of death, job loss, the whole 9 yards. And I think during that year, it was it was an epiphany. When, like I said, one of the worst times in our country's history, maybe even in the world globally, perhaps. But also just I figured I found myself
Yeah.
in the rubble of 2020, so to speak. So I think there was a stat that 83% of Americans started businesses that year. I think it was 83 or 86%, which is a super high number. What does that tell you, though? It tells you that, people got epiphanies all around the country.
Yeah.
You know what? This is what I've been doing here. It doesn't seem to matter as much. I'm losing time with my family. I'm missing out on things that I could have been accomplishing in my life in favor of this 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or these 16-hour gigs. So it was a wake up call for me. And although I suffered loss through it, and there's a lot of residual effects, even now, 5 years later, there's still some residual impacts. Grateful for that year because I grew up big time in that year. I'm not a young person.
Yeah.
I grew up big time in that year for sure.
I totally get it. So let me ask you this. If we got to the core of what you do on a daily basis, kids are the truth serum. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day at a school, and the kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Oh my God. It might not be encouraging to them, but I'll try to spin it. I guess I'm in the place where I'm like unemployed slash retired slash doing all I can to not be a bum. So that's kind of where I am right now. But I think full time, what I'm doing, I'm a podcaster, which is I guess probably not glamorous, but I'm a podcaster and also the director of a new nonprofit where we focus on children awareness and advocacy for children. That's my full-time work. As far as the career goes and how much money it brings in, not a lot. But those are the two things that I've been fully invested in doing, and I see benefits that go off of the financial page and more into the no the other side.
I dig it. So pre-retirement, how would you answer that? How would you answer what you did for a living?
I was a I hate to use the word corporate, so I can just find a different word. But I was a the department manager with the state government. I was in charge of your passports, visa, and border security for a little while, and just everything relating to passports. That's what I was doing for the state, making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's were dotted, and make sure you got your passport so you can fly and travel and go where you wanted to go. So that was my job. It wasn't fun. It was mundane, but
Yeah,
it was important because you know, for security reasons. So
absolutely.
it was an important job. That was my job. I did some stuff on the side, but that was my main gig before quote unquote retirement.
So what did you want to be when you were 12 years old? What was your dream life?
I think when I was 12, which was a very, very interesting year, it was the year before I had a really, really bad accident. So 12 represented, I think I want to write. I've
Yeah.
been writing since I was 6 years old. And at 12, I was writing even more, double that. Yeah, six times two is 12. So I
Yeah.
was doubling that. And I was just writing ferociously. I was writing books when I was 12. You know, I couldn't get them published, for a lot of different reasons. Age and stuff was a factor too. But I think I wanted to write. It's where I found the most peace. It's where I found the most stability in my crazy childhood.
Yeah.
And it's where I got the biggest release. It was therapy for me. So I've been writing since I was young and really hasn't stopped. It's in different iterations now. But at 12, I wanted to be a writer, not even an author, because I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write stuff that mattered to people. So when I was 12, that was my plan. And play baseball. So forgot
Yeah.
about that.
There you go. So what was your team?
The Yankees.
Okay, that's what I figured.
But my household and my mom, she hasn't called me on the story yet, but I've talked about it on multiple podcasts. I grew up in an all New York household. So her rule in her household was that anybody that was in the tri-state area, we're going to support them. So I'm like, I was supporting Syracuse, UConn, the Yankees, the Mets, the Knicks, even the Nets when they were around, when they got their iteration of in Jersey to Brooklyn. So it was an all New York. I'm talking about the St. John's. If they were a New York team, Colgate.
Yeah.
We're gonna support New York. So after I got out of her house, that's when I started making big boy decisions and started picking, what team I felt closest to and then rolling with that. But as growing up, I was a big Yankees fan, but she really loved the Mets, so she kind of put that on me a little bit. So I grew up watching the Mets and the Yankees at the same time. But I thought of my way out of the hood. I thought baseball would be that.
Absolutely. So, what were these foundational seeds that were planted into you to have the work ethic to get to a point where you're helping people and living the life that you're living now?
I think it's easy. Mom, she's from the Virgin Islands, so you got to factor in the culture at that time, the impact of British colonialism in which she was, and all the things that went with that. You guys know the history, hopefully. Uh, but she was a hard worker. She generally most of my time in her house was spent with her working two jobs and also going to school. That was my first time seeing anybody that was a lifetime student. She was into her 70s, still going to school. So I watched that growing up. I learned how to be independent really quick. As a matter of fact, 12 years old was when it probably kind of started. 11 and 12 years old. I was a latchkey kid from, I think, yeah, about 12, same time. So I was making meals for the house so that she can eat when she comes home from a long day, two jobs, like I said, two jobs and school. Excuse me, balancing that. And I watched her. I watched the work ethic. I couldn't always see the results. I just knew that she was doing something that she felt like she had to do. I'm not even sure we were poor. It felt like it sometimes I think we're poor. We're poor. But it was kind of hard to tell, but it felt like I never lacked anything that really mattered. The new sneakers weren't something that really mattered, but I felt like I had everything I really needed to have in life. And I think I equated that sense of peace and stability with what she was doing.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't working. I didn't have a lemonade stand yet. So I was just kind of just doing, kind of help make things easy for her while she's
Yeah.
out here hustling. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I think I came from. I mean, there was nobody else to influence me. It was just her. So
So, I got to ask you a question as a baseball fan. This is the two-part question. What's the best
okay.
game that you've ever attended in person? And what would be a dream game you would hop into a time machine and go see?
Dream game that I will hop in and see, because that's probably the easiest of the two questions. I would love to go back and be live in the stadium when the Giants won what number Super Bowl it was, but 2008.
Okay.
I would have loved to have been there because they've won Super Bowls prior to that, and I was connected to it in as far as seeing it. But that one, that elicited the whole, I mean, waterworks. I don't know why it did that, but it was just like, I guess I'm a sucker for an underdog story.
Yeah.
Going up against the juggernaut, the undefeated, unstoppable, powerful Goliath. And here comes David out here. Nobody's giving us a chance. Even the Giants fans are skeptical and pessimistic. And here we come and doing the things that I think is emblematic of what New York is to me. You know what I'm saying? It's grind, it's hustle, it's doing all the grunt work to make something,
Yeah.
basically to get, diamonds out of coal, you know what I'm saying, to make something happen. So to see a team I know sports and these guys are millionaires and stuff, so I want to be sensitive to that fact. But to see them do something that was considered impossible, well, not only once, but to do the impossible twice. It just said, you know what? That's the spirit of New York.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it was. And I was just feeling it. I was in the culture. It was around me. It was in my ears through New York radio. It was part of the vernacular. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This was what it's all about. So I took that one. It was high level of emotion. So I don't know what would have happened if I was actually in the stadium. Probably bet I was at home and not in the stadium in
Yeah.
hindsight, because I'd have been a puddle of mush
Yeah.
had I
Right.
been in the stadium live around all these people like, oh my God, we did the impossible. The game, I think that, and I didn't get a chance, to be honest, and it's not to make it a sad story or be a downer or anything, but I didn't get a chance to go to a lot of games as a kid. Couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like anytime that I did it, it was significant, but it was like it was kind of surreal. Like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the game. This is incredible. How'd you pull this off? So the years are really, really sketchy. So I'll be honest about that. I don't remember them as much. I know I've been to a Yankees game and a Mets game. Mets played the Reds that year. It was in the early 80s. I can't remember what year it was. And the Yankees, I forgot who they played. I want to say I want to say the Jays or the Orioles, but I'm not totally sure. Like I said, it's a lifetime ago for me.
Yeah.
But those times, I mean, just it was just surreal because I thought I'd be a baseball player. So I was just like, I was so in awe. I don't know if I was even old enough to respect what was actually happening. I was at a game in a sport that I was hoping I'll be able to play, so I could buy my mother her own house and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm sorry, that's my best answer, brother, but I was
No, I
just
dig it. No, I love it. That's a great answer.
the memories are kind of vague with that when it comes to those the games that I actually been to, because there was only two of them. So
Yeah, I totally get it. Let me ask you this. How have you balanced, especially now, how do you balance doing the work that you do and taking care of your own soul? What is the motivator every day for you to wake up and to be who you are?
yeah, I guess being and I cringe at the term coach and mentor because it's so oversaturated out here, and everybody's putting it on themselves, and they have nothing to show for it except that they call themselves that. I mean, I've been certified and licensed to do a lot of that stuff, but I don't care for the terms. But to be a purpose coach, I kind of feel like you have to, before you can pour into somebody else's life, you got to be full. You can't pour from an empty vessel, right? So I just think about the need for me to not just sit and reflect and meditate and do anything, but all those things, my reading, my intentionality in my private time, and being in that space where I'm teaching myself and cutting myself, as far the things that are going on in my life that don't need to be, in order for me to help somebody else, I got to do that for myself first. And honestly, as long as I've been coaching, it's been off and on almost 30 years now. I'm just learning how to do that. And I'm just being honest about it, just being transparent. I coached people who are business coaches, personal life coaches, and such from a spiritual standpoint, people who seek purpose. I've been getting these kind of questions for almost 3 decades now. And I feel like I've helped all of them to some kind of degree. I don't think anybody was left without any kind of help. But I just kind of feel like the past 3 years, about 2.5, 3 years, have been the very first time for me personally where I'm actually really focusing on myself,
Yeah.
not so much trying to help everybody else. 'Cause that sounds philanthropic and idealistic. It sounds great, but you can't really do that.
Right.
You got to take care of you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You can't be out here filling food bags and lifting boxes and doing all this stuff for other people and not take care of you, because you're gonna that's when burnout happens.
Yeah.
And burnout takes a long time to come back from. Ask me how I know. So it's really important that you focus on you, and not in a selfish way, in a self-aggrandizing way, but you gotta take care of you first
Yeah.
in order for you to take care of somebody else, to be the best father, husband, son, brother that you need to be. So I'm kind of saddened that it's taken so long to figure that out. I think part of the reason is because I didn't have mentors in my life like that. A lot of my mentorship came through books. So, you know, I'm just learning that now. I'm grateful for it because I'm in the best space I've been in a long time, more than half a century. So it's because of that. But I emphasize that has to be your number one deal. If
Yeah,
you don't take care of you can't do nothing for them. You can't be anything to anybody else. I don't care what genre or vocation you're in. You can't help anybody else if you don't take care of you first.
I dig it. Let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, ran into the, let's say, 14, 15-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained, what advice would you give?
I probably give them a lot of advice. But the one thing I think that pops in my head right now is the dream isn't stupid.
Right.
People are doing things that I thought about years ago, but either your parents will step on and saying that's not a viable career move, or it's not a good idea to invest your time and money into that, or society says, oh, that's not a thing. And look now, years later, it's a thing. So I would say, no, the dream's not dumb. It may not be uh, publicly encouraged, but it's not dumb.
Yeah.
Work through it. Let's see what happens. The worst you can do is fail at it.
Right on. Let me ask you this. If you walked into a room of everybody that's been a client that you've helped, that you've coached throughout your
Oh,
life,
God.
and you could walk up to that podium and tell them one fun story, something like jumping out of an airplane, outrunning a bear, wrestling a crocodile, something fun, just a fun story. What would you tell that room of people?
I don't think I had a life full of fun. Let me see. A fun story. Oh man, hate to have all these pregnant pauses on here, Joe. Uh,
No, you're good.
uh, a fun story. Wow, that's a tough one, man.
What about the first concert you went to?
The first concert. Oh my God.
Or one that blew you away that you went that you saw?
Gosh, I don't know if I even went to a concert when I was a kid. Joe, you're blowing up my childhood
Sorry.
over here, man.
Let's do this.
You're
Let's do
making me
this.
look horrible out here in front of all these people.
Yeah, let's segue. Let me ask you this. This is going to be easier. Of everything that you've done and most importantly evolved to, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Out of everything that I've done, I'm talking about all the coaching, all the people who I believe I've helped. I'm most proud of my relationship with my wife.
Yeah,
Next year is going to be 30 years in marriage. We knew each other for 3 months before we got married. I moved from New York to South Carolina. I didn't move down here for her, but it, ultimately it was for her
yeah,
to find her and her childhood, her story. I can't tell a story for her, but it was a really really messed up story.
yeah,
And I don't think she must be saying that part of it. So what I brought to the table, being from where I'm from and the mindset I had, and she'll say it herself, she'll credit that it was breakthrough for her.
yeah,
And I'm proud of that because I felt like I was a mess. I feel like I didn't have anything to offer. I feel like I needed to be saved myself, much less being able to save somebody else. And I'm proud of that because I think we did that for each other.
yeah,
And and because of that, that's what drives me to do a lot of the work that I do.
yeah,
Come like people come to me and they say, I don't have this. I'm not good at this. I don't feel like I have any value. I feel worthless. Et cetera, on and on. And I came into a situation like that, into this marriage, and we went through hell. Don't get me wrong, but we're on the other side of it, and we don't smell like smoke. And I'm excited about it because that tells me the power that we have in not just hope and in faith, but also in determination that we can do anything that we put our minds to. We have the creative ability inside of us to do that. So I love that part. That's probably the thing that I'm most proud of. I talk about it wherever I can. She gets embarrassed because I'm talking about her with people who are strangers. But it's the story is so incredible.
yeah,
So I'm most proud of that. Above all things, I mean, above all the ordinations and certifications I have and the degrees, I'm excited about that the most because I didn't have a model for that at all.
yeah,
Nowhere in my family did I have a model of a healthy marriage. It wasn't present. So how do you have that when you never seen it?
yeah.
So miraculous in my assessment.
Absolutely. So let's take this one step further. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, everybody that knows you, clients, everyone that listens to your podcast, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, I think I'm as crazy as they think I am. Because the way that I think is not like how people think. And I'm not trying to be revolutionary. I'm not trying to be unique and special. I'm trying to put myself in on that throne. I'm not doing that. Don't get me wrong. But I struggle with the way that I think compared to the people around me. I struggle with the way that I see things compared to people around me. So I have to live in this and still be able to function and connect with everybody around me. So I think how I see myself is somebody who is fallible and based to some degree, but I just feel like inside of me is a desire to see the world around me change, and I do it in such a way that people. Reason why I say crazy as a term, I don't mean clinically insane. I mean the other kind of crazy, the better one, I guess you could say, is because I just believe when there ain't a lot of reasons to.
I love
I
it.
see hope when it doesn't. I'm not seeing a lot of glimpses and flecks of that around me, and I talk like that on our shows. I talk like that in consultations privately. I talk like that in public when I'm talking to people. I said you can.
Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah.
So anybody that's sat in the room with me that's been coached or family, they know that kind of stuff. Sometimes they don't want to be around me because it's going to cause them to have to make some adjustments. So I got a lot of family that's estranged, and you know what? I'm at the point where I'm good with that because I know that I didn't push them away. I didn't damage them. They made some decisions based on what they saw and felt in their own heads and their minds, and they kind of made their own call. But they may think I'm crazy, and that's fine. But I'm crazy about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about purpose. That's why it's the number one thing that I talk about wherever I am. Because if we don't have that, what do we have? My old mentor, he said one quote, or two quotes that I love about him, but one is, is probably the best for me. He said that, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. And that's why I'm like, you got to seek purpose. You're just wasting your time. You're going to go to the grave and not have fulfilled what you were here to do. So you got to seek purpose and don't stop. Don't quit. Don't put it in the bureau drawer and just move on and leave it in your childhood and move on to adult stuff and forget about the dream. Forget about the purpose, that crazy idea that might just be revolutionary, that might change lives right now. Might be the greatest invention, most helpful invention ever made.
I love it. What a great answer, man. So if anybody wants to tune into the podcast, any of the other good work that you're doing in your life, where do they go?
Uh, quickest route is they call me Mr. U.buzzsprout.com. You can find all of our episodes from the very beginning, from the very first season, over 450 episodes ago. You can find my contact information and all my links on social. I definitely recommend our YouTube channel. It's growing out of this world. I'm excited about what's happening. YouTube.com at they call me Mr. U, but they call me Mr. U.buzzsprout.com. The very best way to get in contact with me. And I'd love to have a conversation and maybe perhaps see if we can help each other. So I'm excited about it.
I love it. I'm going to put all these links in the show notes. What a joy,
Oh,
man.
thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you for your
Thank
story.
you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for yours. It's a great show.
Yes, sir. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.